Marshall. Senator, great to have you on this morning. So I know you wrote an opinion piece in Newsweek titled "Farmers and Ranchers Turn to Trump to Deliver." You're a fifth-generation farmer. What differences did you see under former President Donald Trump than you have not seen during this current administration?
Well, Charlotte, good morning. As agriculture goes, so goes rural America. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, what we saw was an attack on American agriculture. We saw a record drop in net farm income, a record drop in net farm income. They drowned us. They buried us in regulations. They drove up the cost for farming through energy costs. So we had increased costs for diesel fuel, for nitrogen-based fertilizers, and again, just that regulatory environment and high interest rates. Contrast that to President Trump. What President Trump gave us was access to markets. He rolled back regulations. We had record income increases in income as well. Let's talk about the trade agreements. Guess how many trade agreements Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did? None. President Trump gave us USMCA. He gave us South Korea. He gave us Japan. So as we going forward here, you think about those purple states up there in the central and the northwest. You think about Ohio. You think about Michigan. You think about Pennsylvania. All strong dairy country. Because of President Trump's trade agreements, we have increases from $6 billion to $9 billion in exports of dairy products. And again, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, no emphasis on trade, didn't even try to do a trade agreement. And lastly, I would say, is President Trump gave us E15. About 40% of our corn crop goes towards ethanol. So President Trump, a great supporter for that rural America.
Yeah, and Senator, under the Biden and Harris administration, the U.S. has become dependent on foreign agriculture. America is predicted to import $42 billion more in food than we export. How behind has this country fallen since this administration took over 4 years ago?
Yeah, so food security is national security. And to your point, we're importing more than we're exporting when it comes to agriculture. So let's think about why. So the Biden-Harris administration allows Europe and China to have high tariffs, on average 10 to 25% tariffs on American agriculture products, not to mention automobiles. Versus we only put 2.5% tariffs on them. Look, tariffs can be a weapon and to use to level that playing field, to bring us about free, fair, and reciprocal trade. And that's what President Trump has done in the past. He'll do in the future. He'll bring it home for American farmers.
So I know during Kamala's closing argument in Washington on Tuesday, Vice President Harris doubled down on enacting the first ever ban on price gouging on groceries. Take a listen.
I will make sure you have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because I believe in honoring the dignity of work. I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries.
So would her proposal lead to shortages on the shelves at grocery stores and lose profit for American agriculture?
So absolutely, the answer is yes, that there'll be shortages. Think about beef, think about poultry, eggs, milk, all those things will lead to shortages. What's caused the prices go up are her policies. Her policies that attack American energy. Energy is an inflation multiplier. Look, in a loaf of bread, when I was growing up working on the farm, there was 10 cents worth of wheat in a loaf of bread. Today, there's 10 cents worth of wheat in a loaf of bread. What's driven up the cost is getting that loaf of bread, or actually getting the wheat to the flour mill, to the grocery store. And that takes a lot of energy to make all that happen. And they're borrowing money, and borrowing more money has led to high interest rates. So that's what's driving up the cost at the grocery stores. Look, most of these grocery stores operate at a 1 or 2% profit margin. There's significant competition. So what will happen is American farmers and ranchers will stop growing wheat. They'll stop growing beef if we can't get a fair price for it as well.
Senator, of course, we are just a few days from Election Day. How are you feeling about Republicans' chances of taking back the White House and the Senate? What are you hearing from voters?
Well, we've been out on the trail with, I think, in 7 or 8 states lately, and certainly momentum is on our side. And I think when the history books are written here, in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be 2 iconic photos. One of President Trump working at a McDonald's, and 2, President Trump driving a garbage truck. I think that when the Biden-Harris administration came out and called us a garbage, that was an akin to Hillary Clinton's deplorables moment. And I just think that those started moving the needle. We were kind of just locked there at 50-50, but when President Trump walked in there to McDonald's, he just proved that he cares about the working men and women across America, that we are the party of hardworking Americans. And then, of course, this garbage thing has just exploded. And Americans that were sitting on the sidelines have said, my gosh, this White House is once again insulting you and me, hardworking Americans across the country. They're condescending, take them at the word. They're attacking our values. When I think of rural America, I think the values we were raised on, faith and family and country, and how coastal elites are dictating to us what our values should be. Look, we want none of that in Kansas. We want to determine what our values are, and that's why Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. We're going to have a Republican majority in the Senate as well.
All right, Senator Marshall, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.